Hey, good morning, everyone. It's Wednesday, October 29th. I'm Mark Dent here with Katherine Laidlaw, and this is the Hustle Daily Show. Are you having trouble affording that luxury vacation that you've always wanted to take? Can you not get a spot at the French Laundry or whatever really awesome restaurant you'd like to go to? Well, some new AI apps that maybe someone would consider bleak might be able to take you there by selling you a photo of your likeness transported somewhere exotic. We're going to be talking about that today, as well as the hits and headlines in business and tech right after this.
Using only 20% of your business data is like dating someone who only texts emojis. First of all, that's kind of annoying. And second, you're missing a lot of context. But that's how most businesses operate today, using only 20% of their data, unless you have Hubspot, where all the emails, call logs, and chat messages turn into insights to grow your business, because all that data makes all the difference. Learn more at hubspot.com.
All right, let's start off with some big news for OpenAI. The company has long been a nonprofit of sorts, but it announced Tuesday its new reorganization as a for-profit company, specifically a public benefit corporation, which is similar to its rivals Anthropic and xAI. This move should better allow OpenAI to prepare for an initial public offering, and it's also very good news for Microsoft, which holds a 27% stake under this new reorganized version of OpenAI. Moving on, do you ever text when you're at meetings? Your boss might actually be furious. According to the Wall Street Journal, CEOs are starting to crack down to try to get employees to stop fooling around on their laptops and their phones when they're supposed to be listening. Some bosses are even disabling Wi-Fi for meetings or telling people to put their phones on the table face down, of course. Jamie Dimon is taking this extremely seriously over at JP Morgan. He actually wrote about this in a letter to investors a few months ago. He said, quote, "This has to stop. It's disrespectful. It wastes time." Is this disrespectful, Katherine? What do you think?
I mean, sure, it's disrespectful, but I feel like also like having to check your phone at the door of every company meeting sounds like inefficient to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you're walking through TSA or going into jail and you're having to pass in your items before you visit someone.
Exactly. I don't know if you've seen The Diplomat, that show that just released the third season on Netflix, but I feel like at every meeting they're like going around collecting the phones, but it's because they're talking about state secrets. It's not because
right, exactly.
they're playing Wordle or whatever it is.
Yeah, that's a good point. In this story in the Wall Street Journal, like the employees, if you will, who were sort of speaking out against the crackdown were like, well, make the meeting more interesting. And then maybe I won't be attracted to my cell phone. So, I mean, there's always that angle. Well, let's move on to the next one, which is about Elon Musk. Another Elon Musk story. On Monday, he officially launched Grokpedia, which is his attempt to compete with Wikipedia. Musk has criticized Wikipedia as containing propaganda and has been talking about a type of Grokpedia for a little while. As of Tuesday afternoon, there were almost 900,000 articles on Grokpedia, which isn't bad, but that's compared to 7 million on Wikipedia. The news site Wired did an analysis of Grokpedia and found that while most articles were pretty similar to what you'd find on Wikipedia, many shared false historical details, attacked the mainstream media, and emphasized conservative viewpoints. And finally, it's playoff time for Major League Baseball, World Series time for that matter, and MLB playoff ratings are up. According to the league, TV ratings are at their highest level since 2017. And with the Blue Jays in the World Series, Canada's ratings have skyrocketed. Some 7 million Canadians watched Game 1 on Friday. That's 1/6 of the entire country. And I know that it includes Katherine, who is a Canadian who lives in Toronto and is super excited about all this.
I am so jazzed, as is everyone I know in Canada, no matter where they are. And I think part of it is that the Jays are our one and only Major League Baseball team. And so it really has been sort of a unifying force across the country. But I live in Toronto, and truly, you can't make it a block at this point without running into someone wearing a Jays cap or a Jays jersey. Just like, I think the kids say, the vibes. The vibes are high. The vibes are immaculate.
Yeah.
It's been really fun.
Yeah, October baseball is the best. There's nothing better in, I feel like, the sports scene in terms of like the vibes. And it's also like so good for the local economy, I feel like, too. Everybody goes to bars.
Oh man, the lineups have been bananas. A couple nights ago, I went and watched the game, the 18-inning long game at the Rogers Center, which is our baseball stadium here. And the lines to get into the merch store to buy merch were so long that they were going sort of up and around the kind of cavernous hallways in the stadium. Like I couldn't find the end of the line to get into the store, let alone to pay.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. And you know what? I don't even care. I'm so excited at how excited everybody is about it.
Hell yeah. I mean, it's a joyful time.
Hey, it's Anna Sale, host of Death, Sex, and Money, the show from Slate about the things we think about a lot and need to talk about more. Many of us have something going on behind closed doors, like a listener we called Elizabeth, who told us she's a hoarder.
I see mess beyond probably what most people think of when they think of mess.
We'll work through it all together on Death, Sex, and Money. Listen wherever you get podcasts.
Okay, let's move on to the main story. But first, a reminder that you should subscribe to our feed and wherever you get your podcasts. So as I was saying in the intro, there are some new apps out there, some new AI-related apps that have rolled out in the last several weeks. You know, we've heard Sora AI, Meta's Vibes. Those have been some big ones. Vertical video, where you can kind of, put yourself in this fantasy type of dream world. But The Verge's Hayden Field reported on something pretty interesting that's a little bit similar and maybe also a little bit more dystopic, depending on sort of what your whole view is about AI and people and everything else. But I don't know, Katherine, what are we talking about here? What are these apps?
Yeah, so the general thrust of these apps seem to be, if you can't afford luxury experiences, vacations, nights out, the Gucci handbag, whatever your sort of experience of choice, these apps will sort of supplant that for you by making personal photos with fantasy backgrounds. They're basically AI manifestation apps.
Yeah, and some of their names are just very manifesty, to put it mildly. One of them is called Manifest AI Coach. Another one is Manifest AI by Broke Brain. And those ones are more vision boardy, I think, than like go take a nice vacation in the tropics, not really take it, of course. They're more of like a woo-woo kind of background than like an actual beach or something like that. But there is one called Endless Summer. Its whole kind of pitch seems to be, hey, you can't afford to go to Bora Bora, so like just send us a photo of your likeness, pay us a little bit of money, and we'll put your photo so you can have it in the background or something.
With the idea being, I guess, that looking at the photo provides a similar hit of escapism than actually going to Bora Bora?
Yeah, I think that's definitely what they're going for, is that like it's, if you cannot afford it, then perhaps this gives some amount of contentment or something like that. I think it's also in line with maybe people just want to look good on Instagram or something like that. But I mean, as Hayden Field from The Verge pointed out, she downloaded the app and got a few pictures and they just have that AI gloss. You can tell that they're AI.
Totally, which has always sort of been my tripping point, I guess, or what leads me to classify it continuously as sort of slop rather than authentic content creation. But some of the numbers that she talks about in this article are pretty crazy. Like these Facebook groups with people sharing AI-generated photos of themselves are in the 30,000 members.
Yeah.
Which is pretty incredible. That's a lot of people who are sort of buying into, literally and figuratively, this idea.
I mean, and the person who designed Endless Summer is someone who is a product designer at Meta. And according to the Verge story, what this person posted when kind of introducing it on X was a quote for when burnout hits and you need to manifest the soft life you deserve with fake vacation pics of you. To me, this is just somewhere along the line of where if you really are just using this as like having a bad day and maybe it's just kind of like a fun thing, that sounds good. But then, as you were saying, you hear about these Facebook groups. I think the one you're referring to is in Indonesia, where an app developer was like looking up all of how people use ChatGPT and was finding that it's just extremely popular for them to like pose in front of these places that these people would never be able to afford. And so in that sense, it's just like a very kind of negative picture of the K-shaped economy, so to speak, where you have upper income people where it just keeps going up. For those middle class and lower, just keeps going down and they cannot afford to have a nice dinner or go on vacation.
It's almost the experiential version of the craze around buying sort of dupe purses and things like that sort of come alive or manifesting in a weirder way.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be real bad if like somehow fake Labubus are part of these photos, I guess.
That'll be a true full circle moment. Yeah.
You know, in the last month or so, what we've seen, you know, I mentioned Sora 2, Meta's Vibes. OpenAI a couple weeks ago in mid-October announced that it was going to start having erotica as part of its AI. And it's all just like, you know, we're starting to have more of these worlds, I think, for people to put themselves in. Steven Adler, who led product safety at OpenAI, had an editorial in the New York Times earlier this week, just kind of expressing a little bit of concern about like OpenAI maybe not having done enough to kind of prevent unhealthy relationships taking place between users and the AI when you give them these more enticing type of products and personalities and such.
Yeah, and I think he talked a lot about how companies like OpenAI sort of lean more heavily on the fantasy element and underscoring that as a reality that we collectively haven't faced, that the companies are maybe sort of glossing over in favor of these exciting announcements. You know, Sam Altman talking about how with an increase in competition, they're going to pull up some announcements of different offerings. And he's sort of saying, whoa, and name-checked, you know, even some lawsuits that have resulted from relationships with chatbots that have gone too far. And by too far, you know, a couple of those are like teens who have developed relationships with chatbots and committed suicide, whose parents are now taking legal action. It doesn't get much bleaker than that, I don't think. Yeah. And he's sort of arguing that we need to contend with those meatier issues before sort of barreling forward into all of these fantasy realms that we're so eager to inhabit.
Yeah, I know it. But does not appear to be slowing down. I think a month from now, we'll probably be discussing another sort of new Fantasyland type of app that's become extremely popular. So
I know AI, the overpromise and under-delivering of AI continues to be a trend. And yet the layoffs are also continuing, right? And other bleak AI news this week.
Yeah, they are continuing. You know, as we said on the show yesterday, 30,000 anticipated layoffs at Amazon. Well, the company just announced 14,000 on Tuesday and said that these layoffs were related to AI. So it's here. You know, AI is here, both in the fantasy realm that we can go into and affecting some jobs so far, whether that ends up being some trend line or more of just like an outlier type of story. But it's here.
Yeah.
All right, that's going to do it for us today. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in to the Hustle Daily Show. We're a proud part of Hubspot Media. Our editor today is Robert Hartwig, and our executive producer is Darren Clarke. We've got a lot more tech and business coverage in our newsletter, so if you're not subscribed, please go get signed up at thehustle.co/email and follow us on Instagram at The Hustle Daily. We will see you tomorrow.
Hey everybody, I've been listening to this great show lately. It's called The Next Wave, Your Chief AI Officer, hosted by Matt Wolf and Nathan Lands, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So you can catch The Next Wave with Matt Wolf and Nathan Lands, leading AI creators who are your guiding light in the AI and technology frontier. AI technology is transforming super fast, and it's changing every day, and the way we do business and the media landscape is all fragmented, but The Next Wave strives to be the leading podcast on AI technology and how you can actually apply it into growing your business. You can check them out wherever you get your podcasts.